All right, super excited to have this next guest, a SEAL brother of mine that I've known all the way back from Buds Class 205, Will Branum. And Will, it's so great to have you here, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
Hey, no problem, man. So I was excited when you reached out to me saying that you would like to come on the podcast because I know I and a lot of people that I work with tackle the PTSD from one side of the equation, and I think you're trying something that's a little more outside of the box. And I was, I'm open to hear about anything and everything that could help our brothers who are killing themselves at 22 a day. And, we just lost, a Marine superstar who had done like 1 billion deployments and then killed himself in front of his wife, which is horrible. So every time I hear something like that, it's like, man, if I could have got to him, or Chad Robichaud, or maybe he tried your products or something, you just wish you could have possibly, helped them out of that hopelessness that they have. Right.
Right.
So, but before we get through all that, one, tell us who you are and what you do, and then we're going to go through your story on, what everyone already knows now that you were a SEAL, what made you join the SEAL teams, was there any particular reason why you did all that stuff? So first, tell us, who you are and what you're currently doing.
So my name is Will Branum. I am a retired Navy SEAL, 26 years in the Navy. I currently have started a company. It's a CBD company called Naked Warrior Recovery. And just to kind of hit on some of the things that you just spoke about as far as PTSD and things like that. So people ask me, why Naked Warrior Recovery? What's the significance behind that? As you and I both know, the Naked Warrior, the old UDT guy, is from our lineage as Navy SEALs. Yep. All the way back to Normandy, where these guys went in and cleared the beaches prior to the assault force. If you watch, Saving Private Ryan, they also had this Pacific campaign where they would go in and they would clear out, obstacles, reefs, beach obstacles before the Marines would come ashore. So these guys went in first. They cleared obstacles, they saved lives, and then they moved on. So
they also gave us those horrible UDT shorts.
They did. Those were amazing. Yes. I think I still have a pair.
I do not miss those 1 second of my life. I felt ashamed every time I put them on, but go ahead.
I think I went back and I think I have a pair that they were selling at the exchange here in Hawaii. So I was I got to have a pair of those just because. Who knows when you're going to need one of those?
Leave it to the Navy to have the bell-bottom pants and UDT shorts, man. Anyway.
Right, with a double D ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and buttons. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh,
so the Naked Warrior is part of our lineage as SEALs, the old UDT guys. But also the other side of the Naked Warrior is we as SEALs, we go into combat. And we, don our body armor to protect us from, explosions and bullets and, threats from the enemy. We come back, we take our armor off, we go clean up and debrief and get ready for the next mission. But in life, oftentimes we forget to take our armor off. And because we're always, depending on what it is, we're under attack from, let's say, toxic relationships, whether they're at work or in your home life, or things that you see on TV, things that you see on social media. You don't get along with a coworker, or whatever it is. We are constantly, because we're so overloaded with information, we just find that our inner soul, I guess, is kind of under attack all the time. So we never take our armor off. We never have the ability to recover. And so we're just these ironclad, egotistical warriors that are too proud to ask for help.
Right.
And so in order to find the healing that we actually need, and it doesn't matter if you're an elite warrior, a first responder, or a stay-at-home mom, everyone has this innate warriorness where they're like, I feel like I'm being attacked, or I feel like whatever. And then you have to keep this armor on. And so in order to find the healing that you actually need in order to get better, you have to take that armor off. You have to become naked. You have to expose yourself and look in order to like let your body recover, let your mind recover. So it's the removing your armor and exposing yourself as sort of the other side of the naked warrior recovery.
I think that makes a lot of sense. The way I kind of would look at that is, when I would talk to people, when people would ask me about what PTSD is or certain things or why we're seeing what we're seeing, as far as PTSD now being so prevalent in the military. And it's really because we've been at war for so long, in my opinion, and these guys have been rode hard and put away wet, right? So everyone starts with a certain level of stress. If you think of it as a dial, right? In my opinion, I don't have any science to back this. Is just my thought process, right? So you have this dial that goes back and forth. And you start, on the left of it, right? And that's calm, cool, and collective, average level of stress, normal person. And then every day, when you deploy, or when you're a cop, or you're a fireman, and you're dealing with tons of fire, you're working another crash where you're seeing an entire family killed and kids decapitated, or whatever it is, right? You kick over, right? Till one day you're pegged, and every day you stay in that red. I think you need 2 days in the green to get out of that red, to get back to back to normal, right? And at least, and what we've seen is that guys constantly, volunteer, and they're constantly going on rotation. They're staying, they're extending, they're getting extended. I mean, some of these poor Army and guys and Ranger guys are there for 2 years, man. Like, hey, tell your kid I'll see you in 2 years, right? And they're in these terrible places under these really rough circumstances. And I just really think that getting, that's going to take them a long time to decompress from that. And I think, I know that the Navy has tried prescription drugs unsuccessfully for a lot of guys, and it's a lot of times it's the guys who are on those prescription drugs are the ones who are unfortunately are doing themselves, because there's so many complications with them and side effects with them and all these other things. So again, I'm really open to a natural product like yours that will help with these types of things, right? And and I think that can bring us into our technical questions later. I don't want to get into that now. Let's back up the story a little bit. So we know why you started your company. We know what it's about, but why did you, growing up, where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Meridian, Mississippi, and I was heavily involved in the Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout. I went to like the National Jamboree, which was at Fort AP Hill,
what's a
Virginia.
National Jamboree?
It's like
I'm a city boy. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So this was actually at Fort AP Hill, Virginia. I believe.
Oh boy!
You went to SCT there, and maybe did some other training up there. But basically, it's a national like 2-week-long camp out where Boy Scouts from all over the world came together, and you had opportunity to interact with other scout troops, and other, like Steven Spielberg was there teaching cinematography merit badge.
Wow.
So this was way back in the day.
Yeah.
So it was like you had the opportunity to come and interact with people, with other people, and it happens every 4 years, and it was a pretty cool event. President Bush #1 came out there. We had 4th of July out there. We had
very cool, man.
Steven Spielberg. This was like many years, 35 something years ago, maybe. Had put on this like really cool light show.
That's like right after Star Wars, man.
Yeah, something like that. not to give away my age too much, but so that's kind of the National Jamboree. It's like, this big scouting event I think it's maybe 10 days long. We went from Mississippi up, we kind of toured around the Beltway, the DC area, saw monuments, and then came back down to Fort AP Hill, Virginia. And actually, when I was going through STT, there was another Jamboree. And so I went over and I found my old scout troop.
That's cool, man.
That was pretty cool.
So you were infinitely more prepared for the teams than me, being a city guy. Just saying.
I think so. And that was kind of what I was going to say is when I always, we played capture the flag and ran around the woods and, tried to be sneaky and wore camouflage. And so that was really a lot of the reason that I found that I figured out that I want to be part in the military. I want to be not like big Army or big Navy or whatever. I want to be in like a small elite, organization. And, Top Gun was out also. So I was like, maybe I want to be a pilot. And then someone said something about Navy SEALs, and this was long before SEALs were cool.
Oh yeah.
There were no real books out there then.
Just a cool Charlie Sheen movie.
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was even before that came out.
Yeah.
And so I was at a I worked at Boy Scout camp, and we had a pilot came out and, talked to us about being in the military and being a pilot. And I was like, that's super cool. Maybe I want to do that. And maybe I want to be a Navy SEAL also. And he's like, oh, those guys are legit. There was a SEAL in his OCS class. And, anytime the class got in trouble, the class leader, who was this former enlisted guy, had to go out and like do 8-count bodybuilders around the barracks with the drill sergeant for like an hour. And the guy came in and he was barely broke a sweat. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's the guy I want to be. So that sort of started my my path to join the SEAL teams. Plus, they did all the cool stuff. They jumped out of airplanes. They swam in the ocean. They ran around the woods. They blew stuff up. They shot guns. All the things I wanted to do as a young redneck boy from Mississippi. So,
well, how'd you escape with no accent?
I had one. I had a terrible accent.
Ooh, it just came back there. There was just a twang there for a second.
Yeah. So I've had a terrible accent, and then, being in the Navy with people from all over the United States, they couldn't understand what I said. So I would have to enunciate and articulate my words a lot more.
Well, I'll tell you what, you couldn't tell it right now, but are you like me? So, my accent went away pretty good, and then I came up here to Maine, and it's firing again. But if I get on the phone or I have a few beers and I'm talking to, like I just said beers, but if I had a few in me, it'd be beers. I'll be drinking water down at the pub, going to the packy, drinking beers and water, whatever. I go full Klingon once I get a phone call from somebody from back in the neighborhood. Man.
Right? Yeah.
My wife could tell that I just get off the phone. She's like, "Whoa, what happened to you?" I'm like, "Sorry."
My bad.
Does that happen to you as well?
Yeah. I mean, not as much, but yeah, if I go back home and hang out with some old friends, it's not like it used to be, but for sure there's some slang that comes out.
Yeah. So how long did you do in the teams?
So I was in the Navy for 26 years. Before that, I spent 2 years in the fleet.
Okay. Very cool.
Before I got there. So.
And, how much did you do on the East Coast, West Coast? Do you want to talk about any of your commands that you can talk about?
Everything I was just, all unclassified or whatever. Yeah. I started off at SDV Team 2.
Yep. That's where we were both together.
Yep. SDV Team 2, I did that for 5 years. I taught sniper school for a little while. Then I went over and did some shore duty, scheduling aircraft and things like that. From there, I deployed to Afghanistan in support of SEAL Team 10 right after it stood up. Then I spent 6 years at SEAL Team 10, moved out to Coronado, to San Diego, to the headquarters. I spent 3 years at the headquarters doing acquisition stuff. Then from there, I moved out here to Hawaii, where I spent time at the SDV Team 1.
Man, so you just kept going west. You couldn't get west far enough, huh?
like, oh, the weather here in San Diego sucks. I need to move further. Yeah. Yeah, and then eventually out here to Hawaii, where I spent time at the group headquarters, and then also at the SEAL team.
Awesome, man. So here's a couple questions I like to ask guys in the teams. And what did you like most about the teams?
So I like the camaraderie. I like the fact that I was always forced to learn. And I really figured this out when I was teaching sniper school. I thought, when I graduated sniper school and I was a sniper in a platoon, I thought I was pretty good at being a sniper. And then it wasn't until I went back and taught sniper school that I realized, like, holy shit, I don't know that much about being a sniper. I know like these things that I was pretty good at, but then when you have to like teach, 22 A-type personality dudes that are going to ask you the hard question, and you better not know the answer.
Right.
So it forced me to like always learn. And then as I kind of moved up in leadership roles, it became even more apparent that I didn't know everything. And so I found it very humbling and rewarding, where I would actually have to ask my new guys, how do you guys do this? And I wouldn't just be like, I don't know how to do this. I would be more tactical about how I did it.
Right.
And I was like, so what do you think?
What are they teaching now?
Yeah.
What's the newest stuff?
How would you attack this problem?
Yeah.
And so those were, humbling and rewarding experiences, but it also helped me grow as a person, as a leader, as a whatever, just to get more knowledge from people who just knew more than me. I mean, I had guys that were actual doctors, and they were an E5 in my platoon. I had a guy that worked at NASA and came to be I had like some brilliant dudes that worked for me, and I was like, I am not qualified to lead these people. But
I totally understand, man. The teams attract people of the highest caliber in there, and and knuckleheads, but knuckleheads that are great at things. But that's why all these leadership books by all these officers on like leading the most elite guys out there who basically run themselves.
Right.
It drives me crazy, dude. It's like, if I don't listen to you, sir, I go to jail. Right? I mean, it's positional authority at its worst, man. And I just think, but all the wannabes that are people who never went in the military eat it up, man. I don't understand. It's like, don't you understand that, they could take away my weekends, and throw me in jail if I didn't listen to them. But like in the teams, it's so unfair because you're getting brilliant superstars. Yeah. Right, even our lowest common denominator would be a superstar everywhere else,
Yeah.
And it's just so great to be around. That's the part I missed, was the quality of the guys that you.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
actually, that was the hardest part of me getting out of the Navy, was I had this, group of, elite professionals that, pushed me every day. It didn't matter if I was, where I was in the chain from the lowest guy. They always made me like, I always felt like I needed to try and beat them on whatever it was, whether we were doing, combat swimmer, or we're out for a run, or PT, or whatever. I always felt like I needed to beat those guys. I needed to be smarter than them. I knew that I couldn't just physically. They were younger, they were stronger, they were faster, but it always pushed me, and they were also smarter. So I had to they were always pushing me. And even, from sort of the leadership level down, I was like, I'm always trying to put the next guy out of a job.
Yep.
So, and then when I left, it left this giant void in my life. And like depression, and
now you're working with civilians. Working with civilians. One of the things that I loved about the teams is, the reason why I think we were so good at what we did was that we weren't very different. You know what I'm saying? Like, we never got stuck on what made us all different. We were all patriots. We all loved America. We're all there for the mission. It was all mission first, right? We had different personalities, and somebody like this football team, and somebody did this, and someone like soccer. I'll make fun of them, but it's all,
Yeah.
It was all those different things. And some guys surfed and some guys didn't, and other guys did MMA. But that wasn't what it was about, man. You know what I'm saying? Then you get in the
Right.
civilian sector, and it's all about subdividing people into different groups, and it just becomes more about the individual and how different everyone is, less about the mission focus and everyone working towards that and how different you're not. You know.
Right.
Now, to flip that on its head, what did you like least about the teams?
I think later in life it became much more political for a lot of sort of knee-jerk reactions to. There were some things that happened in the community that did require maybe a hard reset, but there were very small things that happened, or some people were put into leadership positions just because they did their time, and it's time for them to be in a leadership position. And we did end up with some not awesome leaders at times. We had awesome leaders too. So,
yeah.
But I think that's probably the thing that I dislike the most.
Yeah, I agree with you there. For me, it's that, right? It was, and then it was how high school it could get sometimes. Sure. Particularly, I felt like in the teams, we didn't try to elevate each other. Sometimes you'd want to tear each other down. There wasn't a lot of mentoring going on in there, so it was always find your weakest link and just attack it and drive that person out or whatever. And I really would have liked to have seen more of a mentorship program. You get a new guy in and, and they're just mentoring him, hey, listen, you're 19, 20. I know you're going to want to get married the first time you see a girl, and just kind of took him under the wings and taught him about life, because it's not about shooting and looting all the time, man. It's about everything else that keeps us sustainable. Like I was just talking to someone today, he's been very hard on his body for 58 years, lifting a lot of weights, never done a 1 day mobility training, never did one, doesn't stretch, doesn't do anything, and it's finally coming to pay for it. And I'm like, brother, back in the day, nobody would operate into the late 30s. Right now, you got guys because of mobility WOD and because of how far our understanding and the physiology of people by just doing flossing and foam rolling and mobility work, that guys can operate in their 40s and 50s if they're really good and they're lucky, right? And they're lucky. I think there's that luck factor. It's how many helicopter crashes have you been in? We'll dictate that, or how many, stuff like that. But so anyways, I just would have liked to have seen a lot more mentoring in the teams, and I hope they grow to that. And maybe they are there. I don't have a lot of connections with guys who still.
That's the goal, but it is still personality dependent. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to have some really great platoons, and then there were other platoons that I was in where it was like it's not the same. Or like my sister platoon, had a lot of leaders, but they were not great leaders, and some stuff got left out there, and all the new guys underneath them sort of weren't set up for success.
I felt like when we went to that, I don't know, the Force 21 model, where all of a sudden we need to create 1 billion officers and have them come all in, and the talent got so diluted. I mean, I was involved in the firing of two OICs. The enlisted guys just revolted on pre-deployment leave on one of them. The other one was the OIC blew the brains out of the guy next to me. And, and you can imagine his career path. He was a West Coast frog who was a turd, who got kicked out of his platoon and then sent to Puerto Rico, then was det there, made rank, came back. They switched coasts so they could hide that he was a turd, and then he kills somebody during workup.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was my second one of those in a row. The first one didn't kill anyone.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm tracking.
Yeah. So anyways, all right. So let's shift gears to what you're doing now, right? So you get out, so you start this company called Naked Warrior, and it's a CBD company. So, again, I want to give you a chance to state why you started this company.
So I really started this company. I'll rewind a little bit more. So probably 5 years. So CBD right now is like, you can find CBD everywhere. There's a million brands out there. Who knows what's good and what's bad, because there's really some bad stuff in the market right now. But rewinding much further back, I was five years ago. I was listening to a podcast on the way to work, and the guy was talking about medical marijuana and the benefits of it and THC and all these other things. And then he's like, but there's this other molecule in the cannabis plant that has all these other medicinal benefits that we're just now really learning about. And it's called CBD. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I probably need that, because right now I'm like, I experience a lot of stress and anxiety, and I drink myself to sleep almost every night. Mm-hmm. And that is my way of dealing with stress, and my medicine of choice was alcohol. It's terrible for you, and especially the way I was drinking it. And you still have to get up the next morning and function. So, but I was like, okay, check, that's cool, but I'm not gonna, consume any cannabis products while I'm in the military, because
right.
I have top secret clearance, and that my career will end very abruptly. So fast forward, I got out of the Navy, still interested in the CBD industry. It was just starting to kind of pick up steam. I went to Virginia for some personal business. I ran into an old teammate of mine, and we had lunch, and I said, I'm going to go. Thanks for having lunch. Let's hang out again sometime. Next time I'm in town, I'm going to go see if I can find some CBD while I'm here in Virginia, because it's kind of a pain to find in Hawaii, and I don't really know what I'm looking for. And for some reason, I thought if I bought it in Virginia, maybe it's better than what you have in Hawaii.
Right.
Yeah. So he was like, you want CBD? I've got some at home. So we went back to his house. He gave me a bottle. That night, I slept a little bit better. And when I woke up the next morning, I was just a little bit less pissed off. So I was just living in this world of just this red zone, kind of what you're talking about. The needle is pegged and never coming off that peg. So I was pegged, and then I came up a little bit, and the next day, over the next month, I came up to maybe up here. I'm not in the red zone. I'm orange to bright yellow. Yep. Certainly not green, but I'm not pegged in the red anymore. I'm like, oh,
you're not rage incarnate. You're not rage incarnate anymore.
Yeah, it was very gradual. It's just less bad. I'm less pissed off. Still pissed off, less. And over time, also, I realized I would start, I would go and do things, and the pains that I would have in different body parts are normally the stabbing pains, shooting pains, and I would, I'm already grimacing as I'm making this, if I'm reaching over here, I'm already grimacing, and then I can, reach. That's a made up movement, but it was something like that, and I'm wait, I can go farther, and the pain is less. It's more dull. It's not stabbing me. I'm not having a heart attack every time I do that movement. And then, eventually I ran out of that product, and life went on. And then things started coming back. I started being a little more pissed off. Pain started to be a little bit worse. I was like, maybe there's something to this. So I tried it again, because when you take CBD, there's no it's not instantaneous. There's no high. There's no unicorns and fairies or weird stuff that happens. It's just bad stuff is less bad over time. And so I ran out. Things started getting bad again. So I tried a different brand of CBD, and things got a little bit better. And then I was at a business conference, and because I also have another company that helps organizations navigate the military acquisition system. It's not very sexy, but really people just wanted me to sell their product. So I was like, I don't really want to do this job. Yeah. I want to find something else. And so I met someone that was in the CBD industry. She helped educate me on different kinds of CBD, the pros and cons of all the different stuff. And then and kind of set me down this path of really research into the industry and how to start my own business, because she was like, so do you want to start your own business? This is how you can probably do it. And so I found out like there's a lot of companies out there that they don't care about, I look at CBD as a medicinal modality to help heal, help improve, help you recover. Other companies are out there, they're like, hey, this thing is hot right now. Let's just crank out a bunch of it and put it on the street and make a bunch of money. We don't care about quality. We don't care about anything else. So I found through a lot of research that there's a lot of shitheads out there in this industry. So the FDA has done many blind samples where, you know, they go to 7-Eleven and the local vape shop and some stuff offline and whatever, and they test products. And they found that most products don't have CBD in it. They have, you know, high levels of THC in it, or they have toxins and heavy metals and solvents and all these other things that are, if you're taking something for medicinal benefits, you don't want to put the poisons into your body. So, so I went out and I did, you know, I guess I did a bunch of research. I found suppliers who were highly ethical, who, you know, they encouraged and did third-party testings before they created the, got the oil and refined it into the different products. And then after, once the oil was refined into a product, because they're, you know, if a facility is like taking oil out of the hemp plant, but they're also doing stuff with marijuana over here, there could be some cross-contamination, you know, kind of like you read like on a label where it says, you know, this has been produced in a factory that has peanuts and
wheat. Yeah, my wife's got celiac.
Yeah,
so.
all that stuff. So,
yep.
so you have to do testing before to make sure that the crop that you're using does not have high levels of THC in it. And then also testing after the product is completed to make sure it's still, you know, you got out all of the toxins and heavy metals and THC and all the other things that are not what you want to put in your body. I mean, people do want to put THC in their body, but our products do not have THC in them. So I went down the road. I found suppliers. So all of our products are third-party tested multiple times to ensure quality of products and to make sure it's the product that we say that we're putting out there.
Right. I really like the name. You know, when you throw recovery in there, right? Like Naked Warrior is one thing, but Naked Warrior Recovery kind of takes the stigma away from anything that might be in there, I think.
Right. And that's the whole goal. I mean, you mentioned earlier, you know, there's 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. There's this whole opioid epidemic out there.
Yeah,
you know,
lost my little brother to heroin, so I know completely, know all about it.
The goal of this is to help, and it's helped me. I mean, you know, first and foremost, it was really to help me scratch my itch, to help me recover from the issues that I have in here and also with my body. So it's helped me recover from depression, anxiety, stress, pain, and helped me. We're trying to move into a new house right now, you know, issues with the contractor. Generally, I would be pegged. And right now I'm like, okay, that's cool. We'll work through it. We'll figure it out.
Great.
You know, it's the way I used to be. But along the way, I got stuck in the red, and now I'm like, I'm back in the,
I mean, and this whole COVID-19 and the stress is putting on a lot of businesses, including mine and everyone else's. It's just, how are you not a race car in the red all the time? Well, I'm the Guns of Navarone, little Pulp Fiction there. But so what is CBD now? And then my next, and how does it work?
So CBD is a molecule one of over 100, we'll just say 100 because I haven't gotten a solid number on the number of cannabinoids that are in the hemp plant. But it's one of over 100 cannabinoids in the hemp plant. It's a molecule in the hemp plant. So THC is one, CBD is one, CBN is one. There's all these other minor cannabinoids. So basically, CBD is short for cannabidiol, and the history behind it is in the 1960s, it was originally discovered along with what is in every mammal's body is called the endocannabinoid system. And what they also found out later on when it was rediscovered in the 90s when medical marijuana started becoming legal is that all mammals have an endocannabinoid system, and we all produce two that we know of today, two cannabinoids naturally. So when you have like that workout runner's high or whatever,
yeah,
you produce a lot of anandamide, which is the kind of feel-good. It's this feel-good molecule that goes in and it feeds your endocannabinoid system. So
I've never had a runner's high, for the record. It was always sucky. I hate running so damn bad. I'd rather do anything. But anyways, go ahead.
So
Take
you
your word
produce
for it.
anandamide and 2-AG. And so the endocannabinoid system is this giant neuroreceptor that's connected to every other system in your body. Your immune system, your digestive system, your respiratory system, your central nervous system is connected to all the systems within your body. And your body produces these endogenous cannabinoids to feed your endocannabinoid system. So over the last few years, people, CBD fixes everything, CBD this and that.
Right.
CBD doesn't actually directly fix your problem. What CBD does, sometimes your body doesn't make enough cannabinoids to feed your endocannabinoid system. So what CBD does is it's a supplement. It's a nutritional supplement, just like you take vitamin C and vitamin D and zinc and all these other things. They go in and they affect your body in certain ways. CBD goes in and it supports your endocannabinoid system. So think of your endocannabinoid system as a giant door with 10,000 locks on it. If you can't open up all the locks, the door is not going to be able to open the way it's supposed to. And we'll kind of get out of whack, and the hinges will be rusted. So what CBD does, it goes in and it's shaped, has the same shape as the other cannabinoids that you consume or that you produce naturally, and it goes in and it opens those locks. So now the door is able to open properly. So, and maybe the door can, without it, maybe the door can only open halfway, and you can't get through the door the things that need to come in and out of your body and work properly. They
Sure.
don't work properly. So when your endocannabinoid system is out of homeostasis, other things in your body become affected. So chronic illness, chronic disease, chronic problems occur because your endocannabinoid system is not working properly. So what CBD does is it, over time, they have found that, as long as your endocannabinoid system is at homeostasis, which means it's receiving all the cannabinoids that it needs to work properly, it helps go in and fix the other systems that are connected to it. We're out of whack. They start, the body starts healing itself, bringing everything back into homeostasis.
Okay.
So that's kind of what CBD does for the body. It's also an anti-inflammatory. There's been some studies that show it helps with gut health and things along those lines. So if you go on PubMed and you type in CBD or endocannabinoid, there are tens of thousands of studies of the endocannabinoid system that have been conducted, that are on PubMed, that are peer reviewed. Before, CBD became cool. And now that CBD is like more mainstream, you can go in and you can do like endocannabinoid system and CBD and see very current, 2020 studies that have been done that show how CBD is supporting the endocannabinoid system and how the endocannabinoid system is helping the body heal itself.
Right. And right now, is it currently being prescribed for any conditions that you're aware of?
There is one company that has a FDA approved CBD product. It's called Epidiolex by GW Pharma, and it is for children with a very specific kind of epilepsy, a very specific childhood epilepsy. They've also done a bunch. I get this question a lot, like, does CBD interact with my my medications or whatever? GW Pharma, to become FDA approved, they did all these double-blind studies on different medications, and so they started low, and then kind of like what I talked earlier about, like dosing, like kind of start low and then go high. They started low and they went higher and higher and higher, and really when they started seeing effects where the CBD was affecting the body, was affecting the pharmaceutical medication that someone was taking. It was like such a high dose. One, you wouldn't take that much, and two, you couldn't afford to take that much.
Right.
So if you have any, and that was either if you have a sensitivity, if your medication says you have a sensitivity, it has a sensitivity to grapefruit, maybe wait 2 hours between medication and taking CBD.
Sure.
So
what about, and I didn't, my wife, who has celiac disease, so she's got gut issues, but she was breastfeeding and we weren't sure, because you sent me all these great samples here and she wants to try them. We weren't sure with the breastfeeding, she's wrapping up breastfeeding, so she'll be done with that next week, coming up 14 months. But, we were wondering if that was something that you're aware of, if it crosses that barrier or not.
So most of the products, the ingestibles, the pills and the oil, they are in an MCT. They have an MCT oil base. So, it's in MCT so that it can cross the blood-brain barrier.
Right.
Helps with absorption and all that other stuff. I don't see any. I'm not a medical professional,
right?
So I can't say that it will or won't. But I haven't seen any evidence that it. That it would cross. I give my daughter, she's 7 now, at times, the CBD gummies.
Sure. So do you find that has anyone told you that it's gotten them high to do it, to just take? Okay.
No.
For myself, just to let everyone know, you sent me this stuff last week to try, and it's not a double-blind study. There's none of that stuff. I can just tell you my experience with it. So I started with it, and I started with the capsules because that was the most familiar to me. And I supplemented it with some gummies. And I felt a little, I don't want to say anything, but I felt a little foggy for the first 2 days when I tried it, just for like 30 or 40 minutes after, I don't know, and what that was. And maybe it was that, and maybe it wasn't. But I'll tell you, I can tell you I was definitely at a lower anxiety rate, and I've been taking it every day since then. And, I don't know, you've got a daughter, so have you ever seen the movie Up, Mr. Fredrickson? I was Mr. Fredrickson getting out of bed, and now I'm not as crooked, or it doesn't take me, I'm not taking one stair at a time, going down the stairs to the kitchen in the morning. So again, I'm really, excited to see what's going to happen as I get to go through this stuff, and so I can be another testimonial for you if it works for me.
Yeah,
appears to be, right? It appears to be. And you'd have to ask my wife, but normally things that would probably fly a little bit high into the right on, I'm not doing that right now. So, there's a lot of reasons for that, I think, and I think this might be one of them. So as far as the anti-inflammatory properties and the other stuff, I know that you said there's a ton of peer review stuff, journals out there. Do you have any success stories from, other people who've used it that you're aware of, or have used your product, who are saying, hey, I had chronic arthritis, I had, chronic pain, and this has really helped me?
So I have several. So one of them is, so I have a buddy who used to be a cop. He lives out in Salt Lake, and I sent him some products, and he's like, these, I've been sleeping better than I've slept in years. His daughter is a cop, and if you go to my website and you click on the gummies, I've never spoken to her. I've never communicated with her in any way. I've only talked to her dad. And she's like, she took the strawberry gummies, and she says that she took like one at lunch and then one before bed, and she's had the best sleep of her life. And that's kind of the way.
That's great. And man, do cops need it right now. Let me tell you something.
Right. Oh, yeah. And this was certainly before this nonsense that's going on currently.
Yep.
But, he only passed it over to her because he was like, dude, I'm getting amazing sleep. He tracks his sleep with a Whoop. And, it's like his sleep is better than it's ever been. I get a lot of testimonials from Instagram because really I've only really marketed through Instagram. But I have another guy he was a former police officer in New York, and he's ordered a lot from me. And he's like, I tried to, tell him, it's not like this panacea. It's not, anything like spectacular. It's just, for me, it was, I give my experience. I'm not saying this is going to be yours. This is my experience. Right. Like, I woke up and I was like a little less pissed off. I was in a little less pain. I slept a little bit better. Like, things were like very incremental, very small increments. Like, it might even be razor's edge, that's how thin of a small of an increment it was, but it was just incremental. And then he's like, I take like a soft gel in the morning, I take gummies during the day, and I take the tincture at night, and I feel better than I felt in years.
That's amazing.
So I'm getting all sorts of feedback like that. And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. I mean, I know my experience, which is why I started the whole company.
Right.
I want other people to have the relief, the recovery that I've had.
So if I could pause you there, particularly with law enforcement, because law enforcement gets drug tested and the military get drug tested and all that stuff. Will this stuff cause you to pop on a drug test?
I can't say that it won't. What I can tell you is I currently maintain a top secret clearance. I still do some work for the government. So I am drug tested, and I have not had any positive results. If they're testing for THC, you should be fine. Right. If they're testing for cannabis, well, it's a cannabis-based product.
Right.
So
right.
I would say find out what they're testing for, and then go from there. I also have done my own individual testing where I would go to the local lab, and I'd pay it's like $70 for a THC test, just to make sure that my body's not like doing, making it look like it's THC.
Right. Cool. And then have you ever heard, can you get addicted to it? Have you seen anything like that where guys are there's no evidence that of any addiction to CBD. I would say that I think the closest thing to addiction is when I ran out once. I started getting irritable. That was your natural state.
Yeah. So, but there have been studies. Again, I'm not a medical professional, but there have been studies where doctors and scientists have used CBD to help wean patients off of opioids, where they were taking CBD, continually to take CBD after they were able to get off their opioid medication.
Great. Are you aware of any side effects with CBD?
The only side effects that I have been aware of are kind of what you mentioned earlier. If you take too much or you're not used to it or something, you may be a little bit drowsy. Or if someone is like, they have they're more sensitive to it, maybe you will get a little bit drowsy. So I would say, when you first start taking it, take it at night and kind of figure it out, and then kind of go from there. I've only been like super drowsy one time, and I was testing out a supplier's tincture, and it was like at the very end of the bottle, and maybe there were two, and I couldn't quite get the tincture, get it in the thing, so I just chugged it. And then, 20 minutes later, I'm like driving, and I'm like, how long have I been sitting here? Like, I'm going home right now. So I was just like a little bit like spacey, which is the only time that's ever happened to me. But
you probably took like 10 times too much.
I probably took like way too much. But I was like, ooh, I slept pretty good that night. But those are the only, like, you could become, if you're extra sensitive or you take way too much, you could become a little bit tired.
All right. And if somebody wanted to try CBD right now, I came up with 3 different scenarios. What would you recommend for them? So one is chronic overuse pain, the guy who's a runner, the guy who's a team guy, the guy's an MMA guy, he's rolling all the time, his wrist hurt, his shoulder hurts, his knee hurts, whatever it is. What would you tell them how they should have kind of on-ramp?
So we have ingestibles and we also have topicals.
Okay.
So the ingestibles are, we have tinctures, which are just oil droplets. We have soft gels.
This one right here. Soft gels.
Soft gels. We have the gummies.
Love
and
these
we also
ones, by the way.
Yeah, and we also have the energy drink, which is a brand new product that it took me. That green one that you just lifted has no CBD in it, but that one does. That has. So an interesting thing about CBD, and I'm going to go off a little bit on a tangent, and then we'll come back. But the CBD, like I talked about earlier, is some people ask, like, when should I take CBD? Well, it depends. Your body actually knows what it needs to do, and it'll take in the sustenance that it needs to get the job done. So your body knows, like, people use red light therapy to, like, either get tired at night and kind of wind down, or in the morning to kind of, like, if you live Pacific Northwest or whatever, use red lights because you don't have a lot of sunshine in the winter. So to kind of, like, boost your circadian rhythm and, like, get your body's natural requirements for that red light.
Yeah, those people in Alaska in the sun in the winter, man, holy smokes.
Right, yeah. And then in the summer, it's like, 2 a.m, it's still sunny out.
Yeah.
But so CBD, your body kind of uses CBD similarly in that it knows what it needs. So you can take CBD in the morning if you don't have a crazy sensitivity to it, and it'll, support your endocannabinoid system. But with the energy drink, CBD in small doses has been shown to give a boost of energy. And then you mix it with caffeine and you have, like, a higher boost of energy. So my experience with it is, and people put it in their coffee in the morning and things like that. So my experience with it, and especially with this energy drink, is I have sustained, focused energy. So if I go work out or go for a run, I'm like focused on the task at hand. I have, like, great energy. And, I don't ever, like, you take a pre-workout or whatever, and I don't like, okay, my pre-workout has run out. So I can take that if I'm, like, working on a project or I'm, like, trying to write something. I hate writing, but it helps me to, like, just focus on, because I'm clinically diagnosed with ADD and I don't take any ADD meds, but this helps me to, like, kind of focus on the task at hand.
Awesome.
But to come back to your question, so we have, excuse me. So that is also an ingestible. So you take it as a pre-workout. It's going to help with your recovery. It's going to help with aches and pains and all these other issues that you have that CBD naturally helps with. But so if you don't want to take an ingestible, there's also topicals. So we have this lotion, which is my favorite lotion. It has a little bit of menthol in it, and it absorbs really well, and it really helps with more localized pain.
Tendinitis type stuff.
What's that?
Tendinitis type issues.
Yeah. And so the other, that looks like a glue stick there, that has 200 milligrams of CBD in it. It's got shea butter and some other things. And the reason I like that one is because if you take the cap off, you put a little CBD on, and then you can use the lip of the, yeah, you can use sort of the edge here and kind of do like, myofascial release. Like you have like tight tendons and muscles or whatever, and you can like lube it up with the CBD and then just start breaking down that tissue, scar tissue. You got tattoos, you can put that on. It'll help heal your artwork a little bit faster rather than using Vaseline and other things. You can use a product like this.
Getting ready to do a lot of work on tattoos, so I got a whole bunch of evil dark stuff I need to cover up, so I'll be using that. I'm gonna save this for that.
We'll make more, don't worry about it.
Yeah. And then I wanted to give you a chance to talk about your super greens.
So
why do I need to take your super greens?
So the super greens are really so the CBD is kind of a niche market for inflammation and recovery and stress and anxiety and things like that. But there's also a lot of research that points to gut health that also is related to stress and anxiety and other chronic illnesses and things like that. So the super greens are, we developed those really as like the other products that I have, they're a broad spectrum, as pure as possible CBD supplement, but this is as pure as possible green drink, powdered green drink. It doesn't taste like dirt, and lawn clippings like most other green drinks out there. I was drinking Organifi for a long time, and I found that I was getting bloated. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? And then, concurrently I was working on this product, and when I got some samples in and I started drinking, this one, the bloating and sort of that water retention and inflammation just started going away. And I was like, well, that's good. But really it's for, nutritional, I know I've served with guys that don't eat any green vegetables. I'm like, how is that possible, dude? But yeah.
My wife tries to force feed them to me, man.
You're not the only one.
I eat green beans and like some lettuce and maybe a pea, and that's about it.
Right. But these taste pretty good. I mean, you can mix it with a lot of water. You can mix it with a little bit of water. My morning routine currently is a packet of the energy drink and a scoop of the greens. So you're getting, good micronutrients. You're getting some good gut health. You're getting some CBD, and you're getting some caffeine first thing in the morning.
Can't get enough of that caffeine.
So I think it's a good mix. I have, and I just barely have launched the energy drink and the green drink, but, and I haven't told anyone else really that combo that I use, but I have a customer that has come back to me, and she's told me that that's her afternoon routine. Is she was using another greens product, and it had like whey protein and some other stuff in it, and it was causing a lot of like gut discomfort and bloating and things like that. And then she found out that she's allergic to whey protein and some other things that were in that product. But we don't have anything like that. Also, if you're doing like intermittent fasting, you can still consume these products, get the micronutrients that your body needs to perform and recover and still not break your fast.
Right.
Because there are all these benefits to fasting.
Sure.
And so I wanted to make sure that I could take, again, it all comes back to me and like scratching my own itch, like having the supplementation available so that I can still fast. I can still get the nutrients that I need for my body to, perform at the maximum potential that I know I can perform to. Because I feel like I'm still growing. I'm still trying to get faster. I'm still trying to get stronger.
God bless you, man. I'm just trying to reclaim some of my former glory, I'm like, man, if I can
Baby
ever bench
steps.
500 again, I'll be a very happy man. And right now, I just want to get back to 405. So one of the last things I want to ask, I know that, you know, all of us try to give back in some way. And I just want to talk to you about, you know, is there any way that, Naked Warrior Recovery is like helping, or, you know, what charities do you contribute to, if any, or do you support any of the SEAL functions or anything like that? And I just wanted to key it up for you if you do.
So we are currently supporting two organizations right now. And when I say supporting, I mean, we're a new company. So it's as
you're
we
doing
can.
what you can.
Right. So there's one company called Time for a Hero, and they are focusing on primarily soft veterans that have TBI, you know, with hyperbaric treatments, stem cell research, and things along those lines. They're actually trying to push a bill through right now.
A lot of progress in those fields right now.
Yeah, to get, it's called the Right to Try bill, and it's to allow stem cell injections to be done here in the United States, much broader, much bigger than they are currently being done. Like there's very,
most people are going to South America to get those done.
Yeah,
right now.
And so that's what this organization has done. They've taken guys to like the Bahamas or Mexico or whatever to get the guys the treatment that they need for that recovery. And so we help support, you know, CBD is a part of the recovery process. So we provide products, and then, you know, anytime that they produce sales for us, we give a portion of that to back to them as a thank you and the other stuff. And the other organization that I support, I'm actually on the board, is Centurion Military Alliance. And they're an organization that help military members transition out of the military. So when you get out of the military, you go to TAP, or this Transition Assistance Program. It's a week long. It's good, but it is severely lacking. And so CMA, Centurion Military Alliance, they take it the next level, you know, and really, you know, if you need help in your transition, you know, they travel around and give classes. But if you need a mentorship in, you know, resume writing, or, you know, just trying to find your path to what your next, you know, what I like to say is, you know, 26 years in the SEAL teams, getting out of the military was really the hardest military mission I've ever been on. And I'm still on it right now. So they help to ease that transition, because, you know, once you leave the military does not care about you anymore.
No.
Like once you walk out that door,
what have you done for me lately, homie?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm absolutely guilty of being one of those people that were in the military. I'm like, hey, sorry, bro, I can't help you. I mean, I'll help you as much as I can, but I can't really help you. You're not part of the team anymore.
Exactly.
So this is a way to help other veterans really transition into civilian life.
Yeah, and I think the enlisted community really needs that. I mean, officers, they get everything handed to them on a silver platter. Like, there's all these other like ring knocker organizations out there where basically everyone just falls over themselves for them to do a job, even though all they did was file paperwork the whole career. But anyways, you know, but enlisted guys, unfortunately, we don't have that. You know, everyone kind of goes their own way. They tend to stay in a little bit longer. And, you know, when they get out, it's either contracting, right? Like doing
it. Skill that you learn. So,
you know, or, you know, some of them have an entrepreneurial spirit and they go out and do that. But, you know, we have very little support in the enlisted community as far as going out and being taken care of, where, again, I really wish our senior enlisted leaders would have stood something up like that, like the officers.
Right. I mean, I think the Navy SEAL Foundation is trying to stand some stuff up, and there's some other organizations out that are trying to do some stuff, but
it's all 20 years too late, unfortunately, but it's better late than never, right? You know, but Hey, well, I really enjoyed our time with this. Is there anything else you want to cover while we're on here, or any other questions that I forgot to ask, or anything like that? I mean, I really want everyone to. I mean, my thought process on your stuff is it may not work for you, but what do you have to lose? Why not try it?
Yeah, I mean, I stand behind everything that we have. So you can find my products at I think my website is nw-recovery.com. And or you can type in Naked Warrior Recovery. That'll also take you to my website, but a lot of people don't like to type the word naked into their search engine. Maybe with their
I never thought of that. What might come up with that? Yeah.
I started with Naked Warrior Recovery, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me think about this the whole way through.
Let's see what that Google results comes up with. Naked Warrior.
So the website now, Naked Warrior Recovery will get you there. But the actual website is nw-recovery.com, and that'll get you there also.
That's so funny stuff. Man, I never thought of that. There's an
I didn't either until I was like, okay.
I know that guy, anyways. All right, brother.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. God bless you
Awesome.
and your family and everything you're doing, and I wish you nothing but continued success.
Awesome. Same to you.
All right.
Thanks, Jason. Talk to you soon.
No problem. Out. Remember to like and comment below this video and subscribe to my channel for more great videos on coronavirus updates and how to protect yourself and your loved ones.